Hello everybody, today we're going to be reviewing or analyzing Gilded Skies. Now obviously if you've played the dungeon, you would have known that this dungeon is very hard, especially General Crag. General Crag is just very difficult. But anyways, in this video we're going to be looking at all of the different components of this dungeon, and we're going to be looking at how each of the different components come together in order to create this beautiful mess, a masterpiece, and just pure chaos of a dungeon. It's crazy. There's just a lot of good mechanics, and there are a lot of bad mechanics, and it's just like a good mix. So without further ado, we are going to be jumping into this rabbit hole. Okay, I would say though, this mechanic of the Archpriest, very good, very unique, and it's very creative. I actually really like this mechanic. It's good, but like it gets worse when you have to attack. Like as you can see how this attacking ability is like right there. You can like turn around, I guess, attack the boss, but you can't because you have to look the other way, and that can be a nuisance. But like other than that, it gets also even worse when you have like the random red lasers, as we will get to there later. But overall, like as its own is a very unique. I really like it, and let's just keep going. Here we have the green circles, and where you have to go to the safe zones to avoid dying to this huge lava yellow thing, which is self-explanatory. It's really fun, all right. It's not like anything like too scary, but then again, I don't think it's in this video, but like you'll see it later. If you move around, you see they'll have these red rectangles that go around, and you just have to like walk in a straight line, no sharp turns or anything like that. It's not that bad. When you get to the safe zone around here, you can just, I guess, walk around the perimeter so you can have a lot more space to turn. Here we have the red lasers, the circle waves, and the lines, and also the local wave thing at once. This is a problem. Well, the reason why I say this is it's not really like that much of like a serious problem. It's more of just like this is something that I have to look out for, and it might be something that most people have to look out for. The reason being is that you just have to look away and you have to dodge the vertical lines, which can be tricky to dodge. If you saw the large red circles, if you get hit by those, you get locked in a cage. You get stunned and anti-healing, which is not a very good thing at all. But like they have, I guess, a longer reaction time, so you can avoid them easily. But this is something very similar to the Northern Lands first boss. If you remember, you had the spinning thing, like the spinning sunburst of the Midgardian champion. This has a similar rhythm, so I guess what you have to do is, let's say you're tracking this laser, alright? You dodge this laser first, and then the next wave of lasers, let's say you move right. You move right after the first laser has been gone. And so it goes here, you go here, and then there's another wave of lasers. You go right, and then if it goes left, you go left. And you just mimic the direction of the lasers. It's really difficult to explain, but you really have to follow the rhythm of the vertical lines, and that really helps. Some people find it easier to, I guess, dodge it sideways, like if you face, I guess, perpendicular or parallel to the thing, to lasers. I don't know how you say it, but if you have your character parallel to it, it might help. Well, but it really depends on the person. So here we have the next attack. I don't know if you saw it because it's only like 3 seconds. I probably did. It's the pink orb. This is very annoying, alright? It is something that you have to keep at the back of your head while you have all of these stuff. So this, as long as you have the intuition for all of the other attacks, this doesn't really become a huge problem. Well, maybe if you're in, I guess, a large group or so. But anyways, this is just something that like I myself have to keep in mind because it just stays there, and if you know where it is, then it's easy to dodge. Alright, so right here, we're going to talk about something that you have to be extremely careful about. So in this part of the first boss, you have to be really careful about the landscape. Now, I mean, this is, I guess, a no-brainer, but like this is something that I just want to talk about because when you have a boss arena like this, it's just most recommended to have a flat land. You don't really want something like this where lasers will be under the ground and you can't see them. And the thing is that in Dungeon Quest, most of the lasers have hitboxes that go vertical like this. so you can still get hit even though you're not like directly touching the laser. And this is just a real problem. So I guess my biggest advice here is just not go into like the back left corner of the room, more usually to the right of the center of the room, because that's where it's mostly flat, and it's just something you have to keep in mind. And now we will move on to the mobs. I don't know why I did the mobs after the first boss, but anyways, what we are going to be talking about first are the mages. The mages are going to be a real problem. Not really, but they are really, I guess, annoying. I mean, this is nothing special because we've seen multiple mobs like this before. We've seen the spearmen, we've seen, I guess, the northern lands, the green people, we've seen the red people from Enchanted Forest. So this is nothing of, I guess, huge importance. But one thing you have to notice here is that when the mages face you, their lasers, their X-shaped lasers, cover all of the diagonals. So you can use this to your advantage. And what you could do to dodge these is you face the mage, and then you can either walk forward, backward, left, or right, but no diagonals. This is very huge, and this is something that I just found out. It's not, this is just something that I've just found out. But I feel like a lot of other people will notice it too. So, but it's just something I would like to point out. Now we're going to be talking about the dragons. So they're very similar to the cannon crabs, and what I would say is make sure you attract them in such a way that there's just a lot of space. You can easily run out of space like this, but the good thing is that their lasers don't last that long. So if you know when they're going to end, it's all good, but preserve a lot of space, and it'll get really difficult, especially with the terrain, and you'll see, because the room after this big room is, I guess, one of the most difficult mob rooms in this dungeon. So this doorway is just extremely difficult. My usual strategy is to go in really far in until like the dragons fire their lasers, and then we take a sharp left where the mages will do their X things. And the thing is that if you turn too early, let's say you follow my mouse, if you turn too early, then the lasers will cover up all of the space and you'll be cornered. And that's no good. You will rest in peace. And something like this happens. The good thing is that like I survived at least the first initial part, but then I ran back. And just like that I die. But if you don't make the same mistake as I do, if you do go ahead, walk forward, circle around, then it's all good. Okay, so here we are, we're at Crag. And General Crag is, I mean, by the popular opinion, one of the most difficult bosses of this whole dungeon, and I have to agree. There's just so much RNG. And as you know, I don't like RNG. I prefer something more skilled based, like the Odin Reincarnation. I use Odin Reincarnation as a very good example of a balanced boss. Because, as you know, the circles are not actually RNG. The red circles, you can easily predict where they are, and it's just a good flow of mechanics. Everything goes well. There's enough balance. You can tell what's happening next. Easy to focus, and it's just really well done. This, on the other hand, we're going to look at the very first mechanic, and this is just something that I just absolutely hate, and it just boggles my mind every time I look at this. This is the vertical lines, and this is not like the first boss. The first boss, the lines are proportionate, so there's like equal amounts of spacing, but here it's not, and you'll see. So here I got into a very unlucky situation, and there are many times throughout this dungeon that you'll experience something like this. This is just, I guess, sometimes inevitable. You just sometimes get lucky, and it's just really unfortunate that a dungeon like this has something like this. It's just really sad. The next thing we're going to talk about is this hexagon thing. This is actually very interesting. I really like this attack. The funny story is that when I was creating the dodging game, I had a similar mechanic like this with the Dummy Lord. If you remember, if you actually play the game, it has something similar like this with the green circles going out like this. Could it be a prediction? I don't know. It's just coincidence. Anyways. Alright, here we go. This is the very next mechanic. This is, I guess, a union operation. If you don't know what a union operation is, it is, I guess, a feature or a type of part in Roblox Studio where you can combine parts together to create one part. You just have like this tiny amount of space. You have to go, I guess, to where there's no red. I mean, obviously, and you have 3 seconds to get to it. I think it's just crazy because this is the part where I die the most. And it's not really because of these, it's because of the lines. As this comes up, it's really hard to see the vertical lines because they're all red, and it's just something you really need to pay attention. And also, because I died, you didn't get to see like the orb and the tracking circles, but that is also a really major problem. There's just so many things happening at once. You just can't really just survive without getting bombarded by lasers all around you. It's just Dungeon Quest as a whole. So right here, this is, I guess, another phase, and the thing is that we start off with the crisscrosses that look like they are from the mages, and they're like lasting lasers, so they last for, I guess, 1 second, 2 seconds or so, and then they disappear. And it, like, when you go into a large group, it just gets really chaotic. I like the fact that there's a growing circle to know when there's enough time or how much time you have to escape the circle. And there's a falling thing. Now, this is, I guess, another problem. It's not really a problem, it's just a really interesting mechanic. You have these purple lasers. And again, this is something from the Dodgy game that has a similar thing like this, and also from Aquatic Temple. If you don't notice, the first boss has something like this where you have like a line, and then they like move forward and then move forward again, and you just have to predict where the next thing is gonna go, and then you just move along with it. And if you play the Dodgy game, if you go to the line master and dodge it, then you'll see what I mean. The only thing I would complain is that it does so much damage. It's just a cause of cheap deaths, especially when you have like the vertical lasers. Again, the vertical lasers are really challenging, very RNG based. If they do something about this, if they make it easier, then Crag is gonna be a lot more easier. So I think here we get the first, I guess, evidence of the orb. I don't know why, but for some reason the character has like the dots, like little red dots things. I mean, I think that's intentional. I think that's just the feature of the orb. It just creates like a little aesthetic effect. I guess when you have this, you just have to touch the orb, or else you die insta one shotted. I think that's how it goes. Here is a close up shot, not a close up shot, but here you can see the orb in action. So I have to go all the way over there and touch the orb, and it'll disappear, and then like happy days. If you look at over here, this is really, I guess, it's just something that I haven't really found out how to avoid, the best way to avoid it per se, but it's just really difficult, I guess. If you don't do this right, you're going to run out of space. The reason why I died is because I didn't touch the orb, but that's besides the point. The point is that these large circles they take up a lot of space, and if you don't know how to properly use the space, and in this case I still don't, even to this day I still don't, then it's just going to be a really bad problem. And especially because right after this, we have the union operation thing, with the circle thing, you have to stand in it. That also becomes a real problem, especially like when everything's red, you can barely see. Like the particles may give you a hint, maybe, but it just becomes a real problem because you can barely see anything. Everything is just overlapped, and it's just crazy. Like this is the problem. We need to have bosses that are more towards skill based, and they just pull out an unlucky card and it says, "Oh, you die." Bam! Like 5 lasers clustered together, instant one shot. It shouldn't really be like that. I don't want it to be like that, and a lot of people don't want it to be like that. It's just really sad. So here we are. We're at Vitalius the Dragon Lord, and as you can see, I took this clip from a random that Roblox nerd live stream. Shout out to him. Now the reason why I got this from a live stream was because I didn't make it that far. I mean, when at that time, so I didn't get all of the footage. But anyways, here we are. This boss is really cool. As you notice here, we have this. Alright, this reminds me of some evil scientist stuff from Steampunk Sewers, second boss. This attack is very similar to the Odin reincarnation because it goes around in circles, like circles, and it goes out and out and out, and it's just really cool. I really like it. We also have the red lines, which can be a bit of a problem too. And as you notice here, look out for these red orbs because they are going to be a real problem. Because I'm playing this dungeon on a phone, there is a field of view problem. Like your camera's just really zoomed in. It's just really hard to see these orbs. So that's just something that I have to look out for. So it's really good to zoom out in this boss. So if you just notice, okay, you see these three green circles. So these three green circles, if you already played a dungeon already, they're just like memory things, like Odin reincarnation kind of things. You have to go to these three circles, and then there's like red stuff and stuff like that, and it's not that bad. What I would say though is that I kind of like these kind of things. It reminds me of the One Shot Man again from the dodging game, if you play that, but that's besides the point. Another, I guess, something that could be quite bothersome is as we go more into these kind of things, it's these circles. If I remember correctly, these circles are, I guess, anti-healing circles, like they stun and they like lock you in a cage and like all of that stuff. This could become a problem, especially when you're trying to like do the whole memory circle thing, and you're trying to get from one location to another. And again, this is something that might be concerning. The good news is that these circles come very slow, so you can easily predict where they're gonna go. Now, usually it's randomly chosen how they're going to curve. I think they don't usually curve the same way, I don't think. Here we are, we're at Hole in the Wall. Classic Hole in the Wall. This is one of my favorite things about this dungeon. I absolutely love this part. I got to play it a little bit. Like the other day, I got carried by that salty noob. This is a really fun part. I really like this part. Because it incorporates like a well-known minigame, and it just makes it fun, you know, like a fun aspect. And the good thing is that there's like no lasers, alright? No vertical line things, no like no crazy shenanigans like that. It's just this in and just a few orbs. Now the orbs could be annoying, so this is where I emphasize like you should zoom out, see where they are. Now did I say that these orbs also stun you too? I don't think I have, but if I did, keep note of that too. It's just really cool. I really like this part. Okay, here we are. This is the next mechanic. This is nothing shy of just, oh, you have a shape. Now go to the thing with your shape. It's like Odin reincarnation where where he shows the color of the beam, and you have to go to the safe zone that corresponds with the beam. It's something like that. Like we've seen this mechanic thousands of times in Dungeon Quest, well, especially in the last two dungeons, and it's just something that, you know, it comes up again, and you know, we just get it on the spot. And that's pretty much it. And the cycle restarts. What I do have to say though is that I think there is a large beam. Let me see in a second. Okay, oh, okay, around here. This is, I guess, a really difficult part. We have this huge beam. Now, I don't know what this does. I believe it just instant one-shots you. But this is a real problem. Now, this is just like another one of those like 10,000 lasers at once things, and you just have to avoid them. Like, not a very pleasant situation if you ask me. Especially when you have to move sideways, but you can't because of the circles, which only restrict your movements to up and down. So it's just like almost impossible to do. These Odin reincarnation yellow circle things, I think they spawn more than once, so you can see there's two. Could be a problem, I don't know. I don't think that has happened to me, but anyways. For those who, I guess, haven't been in the dungeon yet, which is, I don't blame you, this dungeon is very hard, keep an eye out for these mechanics. And tell me what you think about these in the comments. Because these are very interesting mechanics, not going to lie. All of these Gilded Skies mechanics, gameplay things are very fun, especially Hole in the Wall. Hole in the Wall is just amazing. If there's enough breathing room for you to know what's going on and just go with the flow, it becomes really fun. And this is what Odin reincarnation represents. Odin reincarnation just has this perfect balance of lasers and mechanics and lasers and mechanics. And there's just enough breathing room, enough time for you to know what's going on, and it's just great. This is what Dungeon Quest has. Like, this is just the hidden gem that it just has, this appreciation of all of the beautiful components of the dungeon. But anyways, I hope you got a little bit of insight into my opinions and the things that need to be addressed. Especially, like, I would say we definitely need to address the respawning thing. I really think the 5 second respawn delay is just not the best thing in the world because it's just a major inconvenience. Like even before that, it's still really bad because you have to wait 5 seconds for your character to respawn, plus minus 10 seconds on the clock. Now that minus 10 seconds on the clock is inevitable. And then now they add another 5 seconds for your character to like teleport to the place. And it's just insane. Absolutely insane. I don't know why they would do this. I mean, I've heard it's probably because of like they don't want you to reset at the stairs to like go to the next room. And yeah, but like it's not a really good reason. The disadvantages outweigh the advantages in this case. So it's more just something that they just have to evaluate. Hopefully that gets considered. And that's pretty much it. Hope you guys have a very good day and good luck out there. This dungeon is a very difficult.